We were still recording, so I stopped it just in case. We'll continue. We'll have a two-part, okay? Hopefully that other one will still show up. But I can't go look at that yet until we're done. And it doesn't matter. I'm not against any government on this planet or any religion. Some people would jump to the conclusion that that's what I'm saying. But if they're really listening with a heart, then they know that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that all of the efforts put out by the governments and religions on this planet in thousands of years has resulted in the way the world is today. Not a pretty picture. Why? The biggest reason is that people on Earth in this last cycle of mankind here has not evolved very far. Barely had electricity for what, 120 years, or when Edison came up with the light bulb and all of that stuff. So you have to ask yourself, how did all this technology we have today come about just since World War II? That didn't exist on this planet. Just all of a sudden we have it. That came about because of a program that was began when certain craft either crashed or recovered by government, United States certainly. And they began a process of reverse engineering this stuff to make products that are good for people. And they did this by donating or giving certain parts to certain corporations that had been classified during World War II and remained classified, certain divisions of them after World War II, to develop weapons and other things so we don't have this Hitler problem again kind of thing. But it was more than that, because at that point, a lot of craft were coming to this planet because the people on this planet, as crazy as it sounds, were setting off radioactive thermonuclear explosions in our own atmosphere, radiating the whole planet just to test them. They didn't even test them out in space. They could have. And so they came here because they could detect nuclear explosions from across the galaxy. No one would do that on any world, but Earth people were. They came here and scared I won't say it, they scared the dickens out of certain leaders who met with those leaders at that time in secrecy. And they basically said, we can help solve these problems and help you become part of a greater organization of world systems. Cure disease, we know the genome, we know how to turn off the switches and on the switches of the genome, get rid of aging problems, change your culture completely, and we won't even charge you any money for it. But you have to get rid of your radioactive materials and nuclear weapons because they're banned outside of your planet, and we won't tolerate them coming out here. And they were turned down. Why would a Soviet Union premier or the president of the United States agree to give up what they just got to someone they don't know? Or can we give up those weapons? We have no way to attack them. So foolish. They really believe that people that could come here and craft and meet in secret with certain world leaders couldn't neutralize bombs before they could ever get anywhere near a ship? They could do it from space. They've already proven that to people on this planet, that they can shut down launch computers here. There's nothing anybody on Earth can do about it. And yet they've never attacked all this time. You'd think people on Earth would get the message, but they're subconsciously driven by fear, so they don't see it. They just can't see it. So back to the pineal gland.
Before you go back to pineal gland, you can do, people who watch our show can do more research. What you were talking about this nuclear bomb from this book, The Series Agenda, to get to know more into details. Highly recommend that.
Well, I don't go into nuclear bombs in that book per se.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of things.
But the references are clear. The books that I write and took my entire lifetime to develop and publish, the images of illustrations of characters in the Emerald Doorway, book one of the Parallel Time trilogy, would have never been published by any publisher on this planet. No one would have spent the money to hire the artist to do really, really detailed black and white images of key characters and scenes that I have in that book, over 30. It had to be published from my own publishing company, which I had to develop and have agreements with distributors like Ingram Spark to go to bookstores or Amazon to sell print-on-demand books online, because otherwise people around the world could never get those books. The cost of postage for a 1 pound book to Germany is like $60. It's ridiculous. You can't afford it. So these companies have print-on-demand facilities in major countries. And if somebody orders a book from France, like that one, the Say Ray's Agenda, it'll be printed in France in the same materials and shipped locally to the customer. There was a company that existed long before Amazon, Ingram, which probably distributes 70% of the world's books to bookstores and has since before Jeff Bezos or Amazon even existed. And they've been doing print-on-demand stuff first. Other people duplicated what they did in a different format because Amazon ships via the internet. They act as a publisher now, I suppose, but they don't put up any money in any way for anyone to publish. They just get a percentage of everything they sell. So they make it so that they can, person orders a book, then they can print it and ship it. They have the machinery and the computer technology, laser equipment to do it. It wasn't developed by Amazon. It was borrowed from other companies that are doing it and are still doing it. So there's a difference between getting books to people around the world and getting them physically in bookstores. When Amazon wants to get someone they have a contract with to get a book in a bookstore, they go back through Ingram Spark to do it. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, anyway, it's not complicated to get the book. You can order from Amazon and then they ship to your home directly.
Well, see, that ship right there is over a mile long. It's cylindrical. It's made for going through interdimensional doorways. It's an anti-gravitic field around it. And it is stationed permanently in our solar system, the ice rings that make up the rings of the planet Saturn.
Yes.
Our solar system is quarantined. This just means that beings on a massive level outside of this Earth have decided to not allow people on Earth to travel among the stars beyond the solar system until they can be trusted. And until this planet is working as one benevolent government system. You can't negotiate some kind of a deal with a planetary system of 450 plus million spacefaring races with any one government on this planet. There's 60 major governments and they don't even get along. How are you going to do that? So there's a problem. People on Earth think they're going to fight to beat each other into outer space. But they don't realize that there's a wall there they're never going to get beyond the way they are. Period. Ever. Because space is already occupied. And we're not going to go out there with our flag or a Chinese or a Russian flag, plant on other people's territory and start mining their resources. They're far more advanced than we are. Human civilizations out there in great number, they're far more advanced than we are. And many other races that get along just fine. If Earth wants to play out among the stars, they're going to have to learn how to get along with all those races. And they do have laws and they do have restrictions to what they'll tolerate, what they will not. And all this comes right back to the pineal gland. Clearing it out is often done through awareness. If you're conscious of what it is and how it works, and that's somewhat in the Savior's agenda. Certainly it's in the videos that Perry and I do and in the hotel presentations. It's in the books. There's a lot that I do in these journeys that are not in those books. Those books are about basically, well, let's put it this way. In the Saber's Agenda, when Mark Sanfield and Janice Carter, who are unaware they are extraterrestrials who were forcibly stuffed in human bodies on Earth, when they recover their original heritage and who they were, as Ambassador Sean Rawl, Janice Carter, Moon Terran, his cousin, from a planet called Nerexlam out beyond the Pleiades area, then they become part of and involved in a mission coming to this world to save people from destroying themselves on this planet. Period. And so I was able to write about this stuff because I experienced it directly. I could not, in a million lives, have made up what is revealed in those books or in the Parallel Time Trilogy. There's 4 published books because I never learned any of that on this planet. So where did it come from? From my brain imagining this neat stuff? That's not how it works.
And also now, people are talking about full disclosure. If you really want to know what is full disclosure, this book will guide you to tell you what it is exactly of full disclosure.
Which hasn't happened yet on Earth. You're going to find it interesting because the Saber's Agenda is written with help from friends from out of town, meaning off planet, to be a kind of a doorway to ground a new kind of energy to Earth that didn't exist before, to make it possible for a transition from self-destruction and annihilation to move into a transformed, uplifted world without all that massive destruction. It requires that the people on Earth remember enough about who they are to request it. And that's underway. So the second half of the book starts to go into what is coming that isn't here yet. It is not a psychic predictive book. It will not reveal dates, but it reveals the manner in which this can come about. The only reason that's done is to help people prepare for it. That's all. The Saber's Agenda is about how life is changing out in the multiverse, out in the universe, out in our galaxy, huge world conglomerates of systems, what change they recently went through that motivates them to even care about saving life on this planet. Because it's so primitive. Why not just let them go under and then recolonize it like they've done before on Earth? In history, people don't remember. That's about what's changed out there right now and is changing. And the Parallel Time Trilogy is about extraterrestrial involvement in our solar system 100,000 years ago, prior to the last polar shift of this planet that destroyed life on this planet, rose new continents from the seafloor and sank the ones that existed. That was cyclic. That was classified when the Russian, former Soviet Union, under Gorbachev, scientists and US scientists did a collective détente thing together for the first time. Berlin Wall fell, and so they did these core samples deep down in the earth, miles down, the deepest places they could find. It was in Arabian Desert, that's probably not the right name, Gobi Desert, China, I think, Death Valley, and they dug these things down, pulled out these compacted dirts and put them through a centrifuge. Because when molten material cools, it aligns itself to the gravitational fields, the crystalline matrix of it. So they found at an exact same depth all over the world that the poles were going 186 degrees opposite of what they are today. Scared them. They dug deeper and then found out it was cyclic. So they classified it and removed it from the world. It became an extraterrestrial issue because it is. So people on Earth were never told the truth about this. During full disclosure, all this has to come out. So the pineal gland gets cleared through doing certain vibrations. There are actually 4 sounds that the human lips can make without moving the tongue. not 3. Okay? Ah, oo, aum, and hu. Hu is the sound above and beyond and supporting those 3. There's actually 4. And that one is designed to take people when they're repaired, not only into other worlds, but above the void, known to certain Buddhists, into the higher realities, to have direct experience, to recover what they were made to forget, to try to bring that awareness to Earth. So it isn't just such a backward planet. This is a practical thing. The methodology and the ways of this are mostly not centered on Earth because they come from the greater God. All those galaxies, all those other dimensions where most of it is. We on Earth are one small part of it. If you can take iodine and you're not allergic to it, and use an alternative if you are, it can clear calcium from the pineal gland on one level. But when you start to work with the first half of the word human and hue, it starts to clear a lot of things. It is not a miraculous formula given to people on Earth so they can go to heaven without getting off their butts and doing their own homework to become responsible co-creators with the source behind all life, which is our destiny. That's why I say people on Earth have great potential. Because unbeknownst to them, they're supposed to be co-creators with the source behind all life. That's why we exist. Races out among the stars, many other races understand this. They don't fight working with the 0-point energy out in space. They work in harmony with it. So they advance much beyond what people on Earth are capable of doing yet.
So do I understand it right? By working with the sound hue also help clearing the calcification of the pineal gland, right?
Well, you can't just sit on your ass and expect to be given a miracle with someone waving a magic wand, because we're meant to be responsible, trustworthy co-creators with the source, what they call the supreme being. And to do that, we have to know what that is. You can't just have faith about it. You got to go there and know it. And so it can trust you and that you respect it. We are required by the source behind all life, which you can only discover by going there personally, that we're meant to respect that source, not worship it. No, we're meant to respect it and each other, all life in the multidimensional creation, because that is required for us to gain any real recovery and freedom of being that everyone seeks. They don't want to be a dumbed down human animal on Earth living in belief till they die. That's what people are taught on Earth today by people who are like that and who are afraid to really know and have direct experience. But they're capable of it. You know that, Perry. I know that. A few other people on Earth know that. And that means that I can do what I was able to do against all odds. If I could be implanted with terrorizing images and stuffed in a body because I was on Earth, on my way to Earth as a diplomat to help change this planet 70 years ago, more than that. And if I can recover what and who I am and what my purpose is, then anybody else can too. I serve as an example that it can be done, and I show people on these journeys how to use their imagination to travel out of their bodies to go explore the universe, because it's done through the creative imagination. And I don't mean fantasy made up in your brain, because there is no camera here or motion picture screen upon which a projector can show you images, what you call imagination. Daydreaming that people do and everybody knows how to do all over the planet is easy as pie for them, but they don't understand what it is they're doing. So they don't take it anywhere. They imagine going to the store to get a bag of potato chips. You have to imagine that first, then get in the car, turn the key, go to the store, get the chips. It's the same way with getting out of your body. People do it every night, but they're in terror subconsciously about bringing back awareness of what they're doing. And that fear is artificial and it needs to be neutralized. So part of my work has to do with assisting others to be free of that subconscious fear.
What you were saying, everything was right, because I've been working with Hugh for like 5 years, and I could remember more about myself beyond planet Earth, far, far beyond. And not only me alone, Thai people, because I work with Thai people. Many people have wonderful experiences. They could remember themselves far beyond planet Earth as well. And to help this experience to happen, you should read this. This is one of the three trilogy books, right? This one is the first one, The Emerald Doorway, and there are two more books, Guardians of the Ancient One and
This one.
Yes.
And there's a third one, both of which were published in the last 4 months, Journey to the Center of the Universe.
Yep.
What's revealed in these books, because these 3 books, although they do come to present time on Earth briefly, the Galactic Alliance as it was 100,000 years ago, these books are about what happened in ancient history, not known on Earth, that has brought us to this point. And so this book is not about a journey to the physical universe, center like the Milky Way galaxy. It's not a journey to the billions of galaxies, the center of that. It's a journey that takes place when the bad guy defeats himself. You'll see it. And he's taken all the way to the realm of what people call the Supreme Being. His body's burned to crisp, just gone, because he lost the right to have one. And he's taken to this place and treated benevolently, but it's all the way to the center of the multidimensional creation, very far above the void, known to some people on Earth, esoteric groups on Earth. And so the reader, and when these are made in feature films, because screenplays were written about all this stuff before I got into writing books, I could only visualize it from the perspective of a director on a film set. That's how I had to do it. Kind of backwards from the way most people work, I suppose. But when these are made into films, when the audience goes on this journey about defeating this bad guy, they're going to go on a journey visually, which is capable today now, all the way to the center of creation and see what it's like. And that is designed to be a trigger to help people remember what they were made to forget, not of free will, mind you.
And may I say this, we are welcome funds to support your work, because this book, is part of full disclosure. When more people get to know about the full disclosure by reading these books, the world will be in higher speed for full disclosure.
It's true. I'm not here to live in 15 mansions and drive a bunch of fast cars, and you can only sit on one toilet at a time. It's so silly what people get into with money. The only money is artificial, first of all. It's not real. There's no gold bullion backing any money on this planet. People are brainwashed to it, so they buy and sell and give you money, you get food, and that's fine. It works. But it's artificially created by people and governments. I'm not saying give up money and go live in a teepee. No, it's not practical. We have to utilize it until the whole planet no longer wants it. And that day will come. Because if we're going to play in a universe very vast, full of life, full of God, beyond just the limits of the tiny thinking of people on Earth, when they begin to discover what the source of humanity and human beings is not Earth. There's not one race on this planet ever evolved here. Think about it. Practically, one gravitational field, toroidal field, one gravitational effect, one atmosphere on one planet could evolve all the differences in the races that are here? No. That is not possible in evolution, spiritually, or another way. But the races that are on planet Earth today represent whole world systems that just have that race. And they're generally on planetary systems that have 2 or 3 suns they circle. In astrophysics and astronomical terms, they are called binary and trinary sun systems, and they exist in more numbers out there in our own galaxy than our one little solar system with one sun represents. They know that on Earth today, that those are binary and trinary sun systems out there. I think our closest star system is a binary system, 2 suns. They have a different effect on the evolution of the genetics we call human. Those planets that circle those suns don't have polar ice caps, for one. Humans evolved these characteristic differences from a common source way back in galactic history. But human beings did not evolve originally on planet Earth in the first place. They didn't come out of amoebas and suddenly evolve into fish that could walk, and then they became big dinosaur birds, and they shrunk down. Somehow they became man. Just popped out of the ground. No. The prehistoric things that are taught to people about cavemen wasn't even the more ancient history of life in human form and other forms on this planet in its real history. You don't learn anything about that in schools here, just about tyrant cultures, negative things. Egypt, tyrant pharaohs, Rome, tyrant Caesars, Mayan, and cutting out hearts, and Aztec, and oh my God, Sumeria, reptilian mining colony. People made to worship them, and sometimes they ate them. These were places on Earth and small places, and no one race was ever allowed to dominate this world because it's under galactic treaty. Earth is not a normal planet. It isn't like other worlds. Its poles were flipping all the time and wiping out civilizations that grows to greater heights than we are in 100,000 years. Gone in a single night. Fortunately, that event was permanently taken care of so that it won't happen again here. It doesn't change the subconscious fear and programming in people on Earth that makes them behave the way they do. We're stuck with that until the technology and the expertise and the beings who know how to get rid of that can come here. And then it can be provided for people at no cost or charge. The only thing in the way of all of that right now is fear. Fear of something they don't understand. Fear in the face of the fact that in all these years since World War II, no race from the stars come down here and taken anybody over. They still fear them. They still want to make weapons to defend ourselves from what? Races that are millions of years advanced beyond us technologically, we're going to throw our rockets up there with nuclear bombs and get to them? No. They know we can't get to them. It's pointless. The saving grace for people on Earth is a simple one. This God they worship all the time. Most of the races out there are kind. They aren't like most of what you see in the movies. They are out there, and there's some tyrant races, but they're police. They're kept at bay now, and they're being changed as we speak. What matters in what I share with you and listeners who might find this video on this earth is this work is about people having their own direct experience. It's not about them believing me on faith. It's not about them trusting me. It's about them going through what I assist them to do so they can know this for themselves without doubt. And it takes time, and it takes some work on their part. It's not going to be handed to them free of charge from God, just here, because people would take that freedom and that energy and abuse it and destroy themselves with it almost instantly because they haven't learned the wisdom of how to use that energy right. Not on Earth, they haven't. No. So how to use energy right in the universe and how to move amongst the stars, how to leave your physical body long before it dies so you don't have this fear of death is what many races out among the stars enjoy right now. If people claim to love God, they cannot demonstrate that to the source behind all life by doing what they're doing on Earth to each other or to the environment. They cannot. The two don't fit. There's a disconnection between the two. There needs to be a link connected back on Earth between what people believe and direct experience so they can know. We're supposed to take faith somehow into direct experience, go further. The universe is set up to do that. But Earth is not a playground of masses of people that encourage it. They're afraid of losing their power, their money, their prestige, their egos, or something. And their lives are short and tiny, and they're gone, blip, they're out of here. And the world stays the same. The potential for it to be transformed into a spacefaring race is very great. But people on Earth, they're going to have to go through some changes in order to be prepared to accept it. It's not a matter of their choice anymore. What do I mean by that? It means that people on Earth left alone, without any assistance from other fellow beings out among the stars, will destroy themselves without question. Doesn't even have to be nuclear war. Call it global warming alone. Just the way things are toxifying the environment will do that. Get rid of all the rainforest belt around the equator, and all life on this planet will be dead. Because you have to have that forest to filter out carbon dioxide. The oceans make 70% of the oxygen, but the trees filter it. You kill that, you kill yourselves. Done, gone, over. No bombs, no nuclear war. Common sense. And they're busy destroying those rainforests every day without thought, without regard, to raise cows. It's absurd. To anybody from outside of Earth, they look down on this Earth with a great deal of, I don't want to call it compassion, concern, not even sympathy, just understanding. They respect the potential of people on Earth to become greater than they know they can be. My work is here for that purpose, no other. I'm not here with any illusion that I'm supposed to be here forever, living in a palace somewhere off my book sales. I've spent far more money getting those 4 books on this planet than I've ever made. So my motivation must be a little different than people might think. It'd be great if I made hundreds of millions of dollars from book sales, because that's just energy that I'm supposed to be a custodian or a caretaker for, to help bring this transformation to this world, in which case we will give up money. Get it? I'm not attached to it. The donation thing on the website that exists there now is for people. It was pointed out by Perry actually some time ago that perhaps I should do this. I was very reluctant because I never had any way to sell anything on my websites. I never had a donation button. But it makes it a way for people able to contact me, find the site, maybe donate towards this work, because it takes about $19,000 per book. And that's the second top best company in the world to translate one book from English, say, into the Thai language. I made a promise to the Thai people. The first thing we would do with donations is publish the Series Agenda in Thai. It should be published in Spanish, because there's over 1 billion Spanish-speaking people on Earth, mostly in South America. So it'll be published as a South American type of Spanish book. And it needs to be published in Japanese, because the Japanese would be great fans of this work. It was a bestseller at some point, I think, Perry, in a big Bangkok bookstore owned by the Japanese or by a Japanese group that have books all over the world. And it's in English. The Thai people were putting it under their pillows because I suggested they do that to get out of their bodies at night, to have experience, because when they're out, someone can talk to them in Thai, or they can understand other languages when they're out of their body. So they did that. And they're able to make progress without even reading a first page in Thai. So I want to get this in English for them. This is the reason we're doing it. I don't make, as a publisher, I make no income from being willing to contribute my publishing to publish one of these books in Thai. I'm doing it because it won't be done if I don't. And I asked all the people in Thailand and at the hotel meetings if they would volunteer to donate to get this done. They all raised their hands. So this is what we're doing.
When more funds are available, you will make it, you will translate in many languages too. And from my direct experience, the galactics, they are ready. They are waiting for people on Earth to be ready too. And to be ready, you should read this book. Who read this book will understand what I mean. You got to read this book.
And that's good news for people that see this radio show journey pre-recorded up on your YouTube channel. I will list my website, my primary website link there, so they can go there and see free videos, presentations I've done around the world. They can see what the books are about. They can see the books. They can buy them. But I don't sell anything at the website. There's no shopping cart. There are links directly to Amazon or iBooks or whatever, hardback, paperback, and ebooks for people to get so they don't have to hunt for it. Other people that are more experienced just go right to Amazon and buy them if they want. You just type in the series agenda, it comes right up. They need to be in at least 4 languages. Thai, because that's my promise to the Thai people. And they're helping to make that happen. I don't make money from that. I'm probably going to have to spend several $1,000s of my money to do it because I'm probably going to be taxed on it anyway. This is the way the IRS is in my country. So next year, I'll probably have to report that donation and be able to take care of that. But I will publish this book in Thai. It takes about $19,000 to $21,000 per book to take up someone's full time, several people, top people, to translate every page in another language. It's a very difficult. There's a few companies that do it. One has done it for 35 years. I'd choose them, but they're like 24,000. 18 cents a word to do it. The other company I selected would be about 19,000, a little less expensive. So those are getting it done with the 2 most established companies on earth that do this kind of thing. Not just translate stuff from brochures in one language and business files into other people's languages. This is whole books. It's a whole nother animal. So there are people on Earth that are being contacted and helped out of body at night to find this work, who are supposed to help contribute to it and get it manifested on a larger scale. And they have to be properly prepared. So they're dedicated. They know what they're doing. They understand enough about what it is they're doing and why, because they have money that they're just sitting on their whole lives, billions often, that they don't even know what to do with, that should be put toward transforming this planet. And that goes for books, graphic novels, talking books, feature films. They're all developed, all the screenplays, to get this going. So I'm just putting it right on the table out front to everybody. Somebody may see this video that's important. It'll trigger something. I had one person come to the door I'd never met before. Found my address, smart guy. Never blinked. I invited him in. I wasn't even dressed or showered. Complete stranger who found me, said, I'm supposed to work with you. I won't get into the details because I may never see him again. I treated him kindly, took him to breakfast out at Laguna Beach, paid for it. He didn't buy it. Brought him back and had him watch the key episodes of Project Blue Book because that's History Channel. That's part of disclosure. And when he left at night, got our phone numbers, and he went on his way. And he said, I'm going to have a lot of questions when I read this book, because I gave him a copy of the series agenda signed. He didn't pay for it. And left several months ago. Haven't seen him since. But it was an example to me of how this works. They don't have to come to my door. They're kind, they're welcome, but Contacting me through my email, through my main website, is a first step. Donating is available for anybody. It's primarily there for right now to get a book done in Thai. I want to get one done in Japanese because the owners of that bookstore could then quite easily get it distributed in Japan, and they will become great fans of this work. And it could come back to the United States, and it might even be popular here. It's hard to get through to people in the United States. They're off in so many directions in the UFO and extraterrestrial disclosure communities, the few that are here, and it's not a lot. You can't often get them working together. So those people don't represent any real threat to the classified community on this planet because they don't work together in volume or mass anyway. They mean well. I'm sure many of them are doing what they think is best, but there needs to be a lot more done to change the condition of this world, because in 20 years of all this so-called disclosure, the world's now worse than it was, not better. So help for this planet must come from outside of this planet. When the governments finally get off because they've been informed that they have to disclose now, or at a certain time, it will be done for them. They won't wait for governments to agree or not. They'll just disclose it to the people of this planet. It'll be quite a shocker, but it has to be done, because the most dangerous beings on the universe right now aren't the tyrants who are policed and contained. It is people on Earth. They're the most dangerous beings there are. You take the way people are on Earth and their governments and take it out into space and their religious stuff and throw it on other people self-righteously, they're going to run into a brick wall so fast, so head-spinning. Maybe it'd be a good thing if they tried to plant a flag from Earth on one other planet out there. I'm not talking about Mars or Moon. You get out in the universe where beings really are, it's already occupied. That's all I can say to everybody. Take it to heart, but do have your own experience.
I like to say part of this book, like Ambassador Chandra was sent to planet Earth to change, but what happened to him and where is he now? You can find out from this book, very, very interesting.
Thank you, Perry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go on a journey. We haven't done our journey yet. This information and what I'm sharing with you is telepathic, not psychic. I'm not putting that down. I'm simply saying that psychic energies work with the positive and negative streams in the lower dimensions of time and space. They do not work with what's above the void. That comes through the hue. It is a vibration that only vibrates the pineal gland upward. And it creates a connection between the source behind all life and the individual. Direct. Because that energy right out in space between worlds that float in it is what people call divine spirit. They don't even know it. It is a non-nuclear living energy. And it's one energy in the entire multidimensional creation, behind and supporting everything. As individual spherical beings, we are made of that same energy. It isn't destructible. Your life cannot end. Physical bodies can come and go a dime a dozen. But there's no getting out of this. We are meant one day to be trustworthy, conscious co-creators with the source behind all life. The only way we can do that is to respect it, not worship it and put it on a pedestal so it's receding so far away from us we can never touch it. If you respect that source like you respect yourself, and you learn how to respect all life, not just life on Earth, this world will be transformed. I work with the first half of the word human hidden in plain sight because It is not something that anyone can possess. It is not a thing. It's not something you can patent. If you try that, you are in trouble, ultimately. It is the sound a human being can make on many world systems, not even on this earth, that parallels the actual sound, first sound behind creation that runs through the creation. So we begin to hear it, even in the daytime, surrounding us. And it begins to make a connection, reconnected, that has long ago since been forgotten. And it begins to bring what we were made to forget back to awareness by neutralizing levels of fear along the way. There are beings who are friends of mine, and I friends of them, co-creators that come from other worlds. I deal with constantly, who have been trained on world systems where they do not have subconscious minds at all. It's not tolerated, not allowed. And they know how to remove what's called secondary implants. And these aren't chips under the skin. These are holographic images of sight, taste, touch, smell, sound that are plugged into an artificially created subconscious domain, which is not in the brain. So the energy field that surrounds you. And it's through that the people look unconsciously at the universe to see a distorted image of terror and fear. Don't go out there. We'll kill you and eat you again if you do. I had to go through this against what you would consider to be impossible odds in this life. And the only way I could get through it was to drop anger and revenge from who did this to me, from all my lives, from my entire vocabulary, because it was the only way I could work with the hue, because it will not work with fear or negative emotion at all. I hope you can all get this. If you think you're going to hang on to your attachments on earth of fear and negativity and selfishness and greed and all these things and take them into the higher realities, you are sadly mistaken. Because those things remain on earth. They cannot go with you in the hue out of body because they're kept turned off with the sleeping body in the trance state we call sleep, that everybody on earth knows how to put their body to sleep, and they snore and there's nobody home. You can knock on their forehead and they might wake up. But that just means they're coming back to run the body. The body, when they leave it, is put on automatic. The heart works, the blood circulates, you breathe, but you're running it from a distance. When we meet with people out of body, outside the atmosphere of Earth for a reason, we do it to get outside of the negatively impacted thoughts and feelings that are still stored within that atmosphere surrounding the entire planet. They don't go outside of it. The energy that surrounds the Earth, the moon, the sun, and the stars and the galaxies in between dimensions, you cannot record negative things in it. You can't bring it and throw it in there. It doesn't fit. So those kinds of things have to be left behind in order to play among the stars. It doesn't mean that tyrant races haven't been able to travel through space or take over planets in the past. They have. But they do it by stealing or dominating and ripping off inventions from other races, peaceful races. Negative beings in fear cannot invent anything new, ever. Impossible. So people on Earth, when we go into the hue, what we're doing is connecting to that field of energy, the greater field of what they call divine spirit, The greater field of this one power, this intelligent energy, non-nuclear, non-atomic, there's no electrons or protons or neutrons in it. There's no DNA, no matter. Matter comes into form from opposite energies that split off from the one energy to create up opposite poles. But that's just in the physical planes of time and space, which only exist below the void. The void is a barrier up above 5 planes above here between the lower dimensions of time and space and the upper realities, which have a pure positive energy in them. There's no negative nature there, and you cannot bring any there. Just like the energy that's out in space, you can't bring any negative energy there. I mean, you can take 2 ships and fire weapons at each other and blow each other up, but that doesn't affect the energy that it's being done in because it's not matter. I send out the hue on a series of higher tones to open doorways through the pineal gland beyond the physical consciousness out into the universe to connect with fellow co-creative beings out there that aren't from Earth. They go on these journeys with us to help us to remember who we are. The hue I send out is not being done alone by me, but by many other very wondrous, dear friends who don't think or believe or behave like people on Earth. Many of them are human, humanoid, non-human, but kind, masterful in their understanding of the source, each other, and respect for all life. This is what people on Earth have yet to discover. People have wondered forever on Earth without getting any real answer what the purpose of life really is. The purpose for the existence of individual souls or Atmas like us is to one day become a trusted co-creator with the source behind all life itself. There is no other answer. That is the answer. You can know it, but you can't convince another to know it unless they have the direct experience of it themselves, and then they understand it anyway. I will send these tones out now. You, you, you. The creative imagination is not made up in the human brain. When you daydream, you could be in a classroom, looking at the blackboard, or looking out at the parking lot through some windows. Teacher saying something, and you drift off thinking about a ski trip you're going on that weekend or going to the beach. Or if you're very adventuresome, imagining being on another world or in a higher dimension. And you see it without effort. It's called daydreaming. But people, when they do this on Earth and take it for granted, do not understand what it is they are doing because it's not coming from their human brain. The spherical being they are that's running that brain and body is what sees through the creative imagination. And it is, by definition, the ability to see into the multi-universe, the multi-dimensional or multiverse, through the omnipresent living energy, the hue that's between all things that float in it, to know things and to experience things. Moving in and around the hue is not limited to the speed of light, gravitational fields, black holes, or anything else like that. Those things simply float in it. Imagine someone you love and respect, you're grateful they are in your life, a person, place, or thing. This is important because it's set up this way. When you do something constructive and uplifting, it makes you smile inside. It opens a doorway through the pineal gland in the center of the brain. Even if the pineal gland was cloudy, calcified, you can simply step outside of the body and still do this. Don't let that be a limitation to you because of your misconstrued conceptual thinking. We as Atmas, as souls, as spherical beings, imagine, why are planets and worlds and moons and suns round? Why not square, triangular, something else? Why round? The answer is because they were patterned after or created in the image of their creators, or creator if you prefer that. And so are we. Bodies come and go on a dime. The Atma does not perish no matter what happens. And it is still responsible to be able to accept its mission to being a trustworthy co-creator with the source. And this means we are meant to be custodians or caretakers of worlds, planets, animals, trees, sky, water, entire solar systems, even galaxies. They're training grounds so that we will have respect for all life. It is that respect for all life through the hue that changes us from what we are now into what we were meant to be. Imagine being, just daydream it. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Take several deep breaths. Just daydream what it would be like for you to be up near the ceiling where you live, looking down on your body, seeing it with its eyes closed, sitting in a chair, lying on the ground, on the carpet, on a bed, on a couch, in a car, wherever, on grass outside, on the beach. And you can see what your body looks like from a distance, just daydreaming it effortlessly. And because you're in this spherical form now, not astral, that's limited to the next plane, we are operating in a form that is not limited or grounded to any dimension and has the freedom to move through all of them. In the hue, the first sound behind creation that runs through all of it. This makes sense. So you imagine that you can look through the walls of your house and see what your surrounding countryside and city or town is like, because you already know what that looks like. Now, as if you were a helicopter, without the noise or the contraption around you, be at 10,000 feet in the atmosphere looking down on your house and the surrounding terrain and countryside around it, city, whatever it may be. And you can see right through the roof of your house, and you can see that you're a spherical being hovering near the ceiling looking at your body that is really in the trance state we call sleep. Because when you close the eyes, it shuts off the brain in that area that takes light, images, and sound, and all that stuff, and understands it from the surrounding area on your planet. When you do that, another vision opens up. This does not mean you won't hear sounds go by out of your ears back on Earth that's sitting in a chair or lying on a bed. You still can. But the body still goes into a meditative or a trance state like it does when you put it to sleep at night and no one is home. And you realize that even if it's day or night, wherever you are, you're lighting up the countryside. It's coming from the sphere you are, and you can see everything clearly. You have telephoto vision. You can zoom right down to the top of your house through a hole in the ceiling and be that being hovering above your body, or be the being both at the same time hovering at 10,000 feet. Now let's go further. Be out in space. Remember, you're a spherical energy being. You don't need to breathe. You don't feel heat or cold. You're not affected from radiation from the sun. You're made of an energy that is non-nuclear, atomic, non-atomic. And when you get out there, you realize that Perry and myself and a number of other beings are in a circle around a very ancient, very wise friend of mine named Ambassador Torrellian. He is human, but he is not from planet Earth. He comes from a race of humans, billions of years old, that did not evolve on Earth, did not even evolve in our Milky Way galaxy. He's 18 feet tall. He's showing you a body form made of energy that looks human. And there's a spherical being, quite bright, hovering above the head of that body. It's standing there, like a Greek gown on, blonde, slightly curly, not slightly wavy hair to his shoulders, slightly pointed ears like an elf, crystal clear blue eyes, looks to be about 36, just standing there, grinning at you. The sphere that's hovering above his head that you're looking at has a white core. It has structure, what we call soul, and a layer of certain thickness of teardrop shapes, which are individual higher faculties that surround that white core in some of white golden light to a yellow light. Then there's another concentric circle of these teardrop shapes around that one, a little wider, that goes from white to yellow to orange to red to lavender to violet golden exterior surrounding it. So it has actual structure, what we call soul. And this white golden light is moving through it in space. When you look at this so-called black void of space you see from Hubble Space Telescope images, it's not that way to us because we are seeing it without the limitations of human eyes. And it is a white golden field of light everywhere. Between the Earth and the moon, you can see the polar ice caps of planet Earth and the oceans and the land masses. And this barren moon, pockmarked with meteor craters, no atmosphere to speak of. And it does the impossible by circling the Earth without turning one bit on its axis, which is not possible. Something artificially was done to it. Why? Because it has the pull of gravity of the Earth, the sun of the worlds, and it doesn't turn at all. Very abnormal. Now, if it was turning on its axis and had an oxygen atmosphere, it would affect the water in your bodies and the water on Earth differently than it does. You just know this somehow when you're out in space and unfettered by how you were brought up. Out here, the truth cannot be kept from you because what surrounds us doesn't contain any negative nature at all. Whatever fears you have, whatever trials you have, are left back on Earth, shut down, shut off with the sleeping body temporarily. And then you realize that you're looking down from you at a body that looks like you, about 36 years old, perfect, flawless, handsome, beautiful, well-dressed, bare feet, because you're feeling the energy of the golden white light around you. You're breathing it in and breathing it out, but it's not air. And you realize that that is you. You are showing Torellian and myself and Perry and others on this journey what you want to see them, what you want to show them that you are. It's a human type form, but it's made of pure energy. It's not DNA. Torellian is showing you a body he had over 1 billion Earth years ago out in another galaxy where humans actually evolved. And their race became so developed, they immortalized their physical bodies in a very unique way. They were able to break down, dematerialize their DNA, not destroy it, just break down the bonds of the hue energy that holds it together, and then store it in one of those teardrops in the yellow layer close to the white core of their being. And so when he wants to show you, actually, he could present a physical body you could shake hands with, but at 18 foot tall, it'd be really difficult. Anyway, he could manifest a solid appearing body by collecting or drawing the hue around him to fill in those bonds in the DNA and rematerialize it on the spot. So you see, they don't have the burden of pushing around a body that has to go to the bathroom and eat food and then watch it grow old and stuff. They don't deal with that. They don't have that problem. The reason he's here and the reason he is revealed in the Ceres Agenda book for the first time anywhere on Earth, in fact, for the first time in the galaxy, is because I first met him when I was writing the book, going through the experiences that are revealed in it. Or I could not have written about him at all. He is an ambassador from a human race, not to Earth per se, but to a galactic alliance of world systems located on a planet called Zetranami 1, near the center of our Milky Way galaxy, not in the core, near it. And he appeared before a galactic council of 5,000 members in a dome, white dome, in a city with lots of nature around the buildings. And these 5,000 members, men and women from different races, were sitting in white leather chairs. They had a gold sash from their right shoulder to their lower left hip. And they were standing because Tyrrellian appeared on a blue disc stage. They're standing on 15 tiers of white marble seats with these white leather-like chairs on them. And they represent over 450 million spacefaring races in just a little under 1/2 of our Milky Way galaxy today, right now. They refer to themselves in English as the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds. It isn't a federation. That came from Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek. Who can blame people? They got to grab at something to label something, but it isn't called that out there. Maybe there's a federation of world systems somewhere out near planet Earth, but it isn't the Galactic Alliance that is the master governing body behind them. So Tyrrellian is simply showing you, out of courtesy and of his own free will, what you are showing him. What? This means that you have the ability to be in outer space above planet Earth, out in the hue itself, in the omnipresent golden white light, the first sound behind all creation that runs through the entire multiverse and supports it. We, as individual spherical beings running these pure energy bodies we're showing each other, are made of exactly the same thing, with the same faculties of co-creativity as the source, but on a smaller scale, like a pure round drop of this original energy in a mighty ocean of it. The sound you will hear, faculties of the spherical being you are here, is of rumbling thunder under your feet. Not frightening, no lightning, just that kind of rumbling sound. It's the sound that runs through the physical universes in this parallel dimension of the physical reality. There are 144 parallel dimensions of the Milky Way galaxy before we even get to the next major division people on Earth call the astral plane, where emotion moves matter around instead of physical effort. There are other beings here too, out in space around Tyrrellian. He serves as a focal point to keep us focused on gaining something consciously enlightening and constructive during this journey. Something you once knew but were made to forget under terror before you were born on Earth, which is reversible. Tyrrellian puts up his two thumbs, closed fists, and there's a golden white halo of light around them. It's a little brighter than the omnipresent hue that surrounds us, surrounds the Earth, the moon, the sun, the stars all around us are clear as day. Big, blue, white, hot, white, blue, giant stars, younger stars, and with planetary systems around them, usually binary and trinary suns, meaning a big sun, slightly smaller sun circling it, and a smaller sun, or even a bigger sun circling it sometimes, usually biggest ones in the center. Planets surround those trinary and binary sun systems with beings living on them. We are never, ever going to go into outer space from Earth and plant our flags on their worlds. It's going to be quite a shock to people that think this way on Earth. Competing to get to space to see who will dominate, what a joke that is. So despite their blindness and fear that makes them do things they wouldn't do if they weren't making decisions based on fear, disclosure of life beyond Earth is underway. And in a unique way that's never been attempted before concerning this planet. And certain people in this highest level of classified arena that have to disclose to all of us, to all of you, have been told in no uncertain terms that they must disclose fully to the people of this planet at a certain point, or it will be done for them. Because there is no other way to protect Earth's people from destroying themselves. It has to come from outside. And the ability for people on Earth to allow them to come here and not be terrified must come from within inside them. And that is a process. So Torellian's holding up a little bit higher you that comes from many dimensions above the physical universe and is put out in a field of energy around the body of people that are here, hovering in a circle around Torellian. There are master teachers here. There's a number of people that go with us on these journeys that are in a bigger circle around us. Men and women, different races. Some of them are part of the Galactic Alliance itself. Some are independent master teachers who come from other realities, other dimensions. Because we'll often journey from here in space outside of Earth, either to a higher Earth that exists, to a Galactic Alliance Emerald Star cruiser, a mile-long stationed in the ice rings that circle the planet Saturn in our solar system right now. That's over 300 personnel on it, sometimes 3 times that. Or we may go to Zetanami 1 near the galactic core of the Milky Way. We may go to Zientarnamun 1, which is on our parallel dimension on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy. And these are inhabited by beings, human and humanoid, much, much more advanced than people on Earth. The Zientarnamun 1 people, the Zientarnamus race, did not originate in the Milky Way galaxy, but they are humanoid, 10 feet tall. Longer necks, longer fingers. There's a couple that are friends of mine I co-create with that really oversee a little more than half the planets and stars in our galaxy. Between them and the Zetanami 1 people, they're now in harmony working together. So Earth is simply out in the cold in all of this now. Out in space, above planet Earth, in the so-called void that isn't a void at all, is what we call the zero-point or terrenal energy field, the energy of the universe, divine spirit, the one power, the first word, whatever you want to call it. It is a living substance. And you and I and Perry, Ambassador Torellian, Master Ramu, Master Opelum, Etta and Dinwich, who are Drens, they aren't human at all. They're courageous, and they have the highest qualities of humans would want to attain. They manifest, and they're not even human. They're silica-based life forms from a planet called Oceania, which is on the other side of the galaxy in a higher parallel dimension of the physical universe, a physical world. Etta and Din are hovering above Ramu's head, about 3 feet long from the tip of their cute little snouts to the tip of their tail, strong legs and hind legs and 5 fingers and toes like a human, kind of a pale green, like a salamander, but they're not a lizard. Big bulbous blue eyes. When Etta's hovering behind his mate, which is a little more feminine in characteristics, their tail glows like bright crystal gem opal in sunlight from the root to the tip. This silica-based race evolved in emptied out volcanic caverns at the bottom of the Oceanian oceans because that world, 4 times bigger than Earth, has just a few islands near the equator with dome cities on it. and transport tubes that carry people from the surface to dome cities in the bottom of their ocean. So Etta and Din, who are master teachers, are lovable, courageous to a fault. Their images, or Etta's at least, is in the Emerald Doorway book. Opelum and Master Ramu are also in that book. Melina and Kalem are in that book. And other master teachers back over 100,000 years ago. We should take a journey, because I don't know who's tuning into this or will tune into this particular recorded radio journey beyond Earth. We should go to the ice rings of the planet Saturn in our solar system and visit with Galactic Alliance personnel and some master teachers who will go with us. Go inside that ship and meet with some of these people, because you're going to meet with them one day anyway. Might as well have the courage now to do it ahead of time, out of your fellow human beings on Earth. Sorelian's going to point out there, out in space, past the moon, and you're going to see a conduit open up of blue-green water-like luminous light, like an open funnel at one end that narrows in the middle and opens up, and you can see the planet Saturn right through it, like it's a telephoto lens, with its rings around it and its moons. And we're in a circle around Turelian, and Etta and Din zip off. Remember, above Etta and Din is an Atma hovering above them, just like you. And they zip off through this opening in a blur of light. And so all of us around Ambassador Turelian zip off through it. We're moving through this luminous, transparent, whirling vortex that has been mocked up and held in place by myself and Turelian. We do this together because we can. The purpose is to get you somewhere else. The sound of the thunder is under our feet, and it's carrying us along like we're riding in a boat on a river. And as we pass through the narrowing area of it, all of us collectively together around Turelian are like the size of a dime to a dinner plate. And we pass through and out the other side, and before we know it, we look behind us, and that vortex vanishes, and you don't see Earth. We're looking down on the rings that make up the planet Saturn. The image is on the front cover of the Sayre's Agenda book. Original artwork created by a master artist and a CGI expert that I hired to work with me to create the art for this book, with my guidance as well. And then he would hire actors to play the parts of the characters shown on the covers in costume. You look down on that ship and you see this cylindrical ship about a mile long pointing towards the planet's equator, hovering inside under the layer of ice. The rings that make up, the things that make up the ice rings of Saturn are big chunks of ice, all sizes. Water. How did water get out to make up the rings of Saturn? I think they're only about a mile and a half thick. But here's the ship hovering in it with a blue anti-gravitic light surrounding the hull. Nothing bumps into it, it's sitting hovering there. And you can see these 6 galactic scout craft size ship, about 30 feet wide, very streamlined, newer models, 3 semi-spheric pods on their bottom hull with a blue anti-gravitic light around it, approaching in line the central hull of this ship. There is a curved observation window at the front, and you can see a number of beings behind crystalline faceted luminous control panels. And on the other end, you know there's a similar, identical bridge control window pointing towards the planet's equator. It's a double-ended ship. The first scout raises its electromagnetic field up so that it becomes part of a parallel dimension. And so it looks transparent and it passes harmlessly through the hull. There is no open launch bay doors on this ship. 100,000 years ago, there were. Now there aren't. It passes through. You can see right into an oval opening. It lowers down towards a huge football field-sized hangar bay, lowers its vibration rate, the anti-gravitic field around the craft, becomes solid and lands next to other craft that are parked there. There is a conveyor belt running through the center of this huge hangar bay, and on the far end of it, you can see a triangular opening, luminous. Goes down a hallway that's triangular shaped, and there's one on the other end. And beings are standing upright on this conveyor, gravitationally held to it, reading or doing something and being whisked along to one of the other two entrances, the one on the right, the one on the left, that go to other parts of the ship. And then you begin to see another ship do the same thing. There's 6 of them beginning to enter this parent vessel. That is called an Emerald Star Cruiser. It's one of the smaller ones. It's a mile long. You can still hear the sound of thunder all around you here in space. You, the Atma, you, the real being, the spherical you, can hear it. And if you don't think you can, imagine hearing it, because that's how you hear it. And we're going to move around the front of this ship and go to about a third of the way down the right side of this cylindrical parent vessel. And we're going to pass right through the hull. If you look down this middle section of the circumference of the craft, there are horizontal, oval-shaped, clear, convex shaped windows, observation windows, that line the entire length of the middle of the hull, all the way around the circumference of the ship. And we're going to pass right through one, move right through it, because we're not the matter of the ship. And we come to find ourselves, and you look down and you see that your bare feet of this perfectly healthy, radiant, 36-year-old male or female body, depending what you are, is wiggling your toes in this luminous blue plush carpet. And you look around you and you see behind you, Torellian is standing up, smiling. The spherical being above him is clear. He's 18 feet tall, but the top of this chamber is 60 feet and hundreds of feet long, as far as you can see. This is an observation lounge. There are blue glass top tables centered in different places, and people sitting in egg-shaped white chairs with blue cushions, and 300 of the ship's personnel standing between them. And over to your left, you can see these observation portals. You can see the ice rings of Saturn. We're down inside them. You can see the gas giant Saturn and moons circling by, and the stars of space beyond that. The vibration coming from the carpet is soothing, calming. Now you are showing them a pure energy form of your physical form, flawless, not like the one you have on Earth. And you are hovering above it, and you see a man and a woman sitting behind a table in egg-shaped chairs get up to greet you with their right hand raised, slight nod of their head. These are the co-commanders, a mated couple, human, from beyond the Pleiades, far beyond the Seven Sisters people can see with the naked eye from Earth, but in that area of space. And they're the co-commanders of this craft. They are on a mission to maintain this ship and its scout craft fleet, to patrol and maintain a quarantine around our solar system. This quarantine is both to keep tyrant extraterrestrials out of our solar system, because they have been removed from Earth completely. You won't find them in bases underground in Antarctica or anywhere else. They're gone. People on Earth did not remove them. And these commanders are more to protect Earth people from destroying themselves and also to prevent people trying to go into outer space to take their quite primitive behavior out into space with them. Because that is not ever going to be tolerated. Not now, not ever. Earth people do not and are not granted free will to annihilate themselves or take their perverted fears, destructive natures out in the universe to play among the stars. That's never going to take place. Disclosure isn't about the US government or other governments deciding to disclose. That decision is quite beyond them for their own good. The people of Earth only have one choice now: to grow up and accept this great change that they live in a great universe of what they call God that is far more evolved and far more of them out among the stars than just live on planet Earth. And this has always been true. It is also true here that this man and woman will telepathically relate to each and every one of you that human beings, including you, did not originate on planet Earth. Ever. Never. The races represented on planet Earth originated out among the stars and were brought to Earth in colonizing episodes going back many, many millions of years, almost to the 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs, the big ones, were made extinct. Many cultures have developed on Earth and been destroyed overnight through polar shifts, which is unique to planet Earth and has been recently stopped. And that has been stopped by what we call the mechanics of creation, mechanics of the universe, the beings we call silent mentors, who are a separate order that maintain the entire creation, planets and galaxies and suns and moons and stars, doorways between dimensions, the doorways that exist in the central nucleus of a galaxy that run up and down between different dimensions and planes. And they have recently stopped the polar flips of Earth permanently, which means what some people say on Earth was a golden age to an iron age and back again has come to a permanent end. It hasn't changed the subconscious perverted drives of people on Earth yet, but at least it gives us the opportunity to step up to bat. Other cultures out in space, which they're telling you, have conquered certain things like genetics, genomes on the DNA, which are switches, disease, longevity, being able to get in and out of their bodies, which their personnel do and are required to do. Besides pilot ships across the stars, they must do both masterfully. They are trained to serve as examples for people on Earth to recover what they were made to forget. It means that everyone on Earth is in reality, including the human races, of extraterrestrial origin. You're going to see 300 of the ship's personnel. They're not all human-like as you're used to. Some have snake-like skin, snake-like eyes, no hair, longer earlobes, shorter, little gray guys that never were abducting people on Earth. The shots, which are lion-type people, great spacefaring warrior race, are represented here. There's a few from the Xentronomus race, about 10 feet tall, longer necks and longer fingers, violet eyes, ivory-colored moonstone skin, and long hair like silver. Astropelum, the Oceanian leader, is 6 feet tall, long, shiny black hair to his shoulders, slightly pointed ears, emerald green eyes, in a Galactic Alliance uniform, because he's the founding sponsor of the entire organization over 500,000 years ago, has a pyramid on his right chest, golden quartz cap pyramid sitting above the silvery nucleus of a galaxy, and above that 3 blue shiny stars in triangular formation. Same as on the man and woman who are co-commanders of the ship, and on the uniforms of the galactic personnel. It is not on the uniforms, so to speak, of the Zintranamus couple, male and female, because they come from a different organization of world systems. These various beings will come up to you kindly and raise their right hand. I suggest and would recommend that you do the same respectfully in return. They're not here to harm you or control your minds or do anything like that. The only thing that they require is that you don't bring any negative nature here, because it's slept and turned off back with the body you have on Earth. We came here through the hue, so you can't bring that stuff with you. These various people will be attracted to you and you to them, and as they approach you, these aliens, they'll seem very familiar to each one of you, like you used to know them really well. And then they'll begin to share with you some of their wisdom and give you each a message. Beings called Shantial and Tonaltial, Dantiam and Lamtiam, are human couples, part of the Galactic Alliance, that have surrounded myself and Perry and are talking with us. These 2 couples in particular have put some people on Earth through what's called a secondary implant removal session. Now, that takes place in a unique way, and I serve as a guide for those journeys, but I don't do the implant removal. I leave that to beings who grew up on planets that do not have a subconscious mind whatsoever. Those sessions are very rare and only for a few people on Earth. No monetary system is involved in such sessions. It's not practical for me to make them available to everyone on Earth because I'm only one person. There are Galactic Alliance personnel that work with and are required to work with certain master teachers, which are also required to journey on their ships across the stars. Make sure people don't get out of balance with either technology or power. It has to be a Galactic Alliance Council member decision on Zetronomy 1. Amongst those representatives who represent 450 million spacefaring races, to ever do anything of an intervening nature in the destiny of Earth and its people. I will remain silent now for a few moments while you experience these human and humanoid and other beings from other worlds on the spaceship called the Emerald Star Cruiser, stationed permanently for now inside the ice rings that circle the planet Saturn in our solar system. If you wish to experience the removal of what are called secondary implants and get to the heart of the primary implant that has kept you from remembering, then you must request it of these beings. This is ancient technology for them, not new. They are more anxious in a way to come and land and be made aware to the people on Earth than you are to accept them. They don't have any desire to see Earth go up in smoke, which is where it's headed. And they have a mission to see to it that at least when attempted nuclear war takes place, the launch computers are shut down. In some cases, they've destroyed a live weapon on a rocket headed to do something. But that's the level to which, the extent to which they've intervened. They have certain bases hidden on Earth because we come from them. They are doing their best to influence the surface dwellers on Earth to head in a more constructive and awakening direction. This takes and requires a stopping of fear. One of the bases was built inside the interior of Mount Shasta in Northern California in 1908. And it's because of that base and others that nuclear war was already avoided a number of times since World War II ended. Ambassador Turellian is an ambassador from the Say rays. The reason for this is because they have 12-stranded genome DNA, 12 strands. And they have imparted to us and other races represented in this room and this ship. Long ago, their race experimented with raising the abilities of body forms like human and many others to a point where they could become spacefaring, and to a point where the Atma, which comes from the source, many dimensions above here, could run higher faculties of awareness through these body forms and experience these different levels. The Say rays were instrumental in helping to create the body forms that fly the ships that travel the stars. And when they got to that point, they disappeared. And only recently returned to see what we had done with it. To be disappointed would be an understatement. So they went through a consciousness change, which is why Ambassador Turellian appeared on that stage, on Zetronomy 1, in that dome, in front of 5,000 members, and opened a book 4 feet long. This guy's 18 feet tall, made of a bluish gray metal. He opened it up, and the letters dancing on it were like hieroglyphs in golden light energy. You couldn't read it. But beams of energy shot from that book into the beings hovering above the body forms that are the council members. And they became quite transformed quite quickly to have more of a concern about heading Earth in a new direction. And that's where I come into the picture. The only reason that I can do this, and I have a co-creative association with Turellian, is because I let go of all revenge and anger and fear and hatred for what was done to me terribly, which you'll read about in the Sayers Agenda, how I came to be on this planet. If you think that's strange or unbelievable or science fiction, believe what you will, but my work is only based on my direct experience, or I could not have written about it. Not from anything I learned on Earth growing up. That would have been quite impossible. So it's up to you, and for your benefit, that you go into the Hue, learn the techniques that are placed in the back of the Series Agenda book. One technique for the prologue and one for each of the 29 chapters. Work with it, be sincere, see what happens. You look around you now and you realize that we are hovering in a circle around Turelian, standing on a blue disc stage in front of 5,000 member assembled on 15 levels of white marble floors with white leather-like seats. They have white-like gowns on with a golden white sash from the right shoulder to the left hip, and a Galactic Alliance symbol on the sash itself. And there are spherical beings hovering above these body forms. They see the one hovering above Turelian. They see us hovering around Turelian up above near the dome top, observing. When you look out of this dome and you suddenly find yourself above this planet, you're looking down on a world. And you get up high enough, you can see that we are looking at the Milky Way galaxy, focusing down near the galactic core, near it, not in it, until a world comes into our view, 4 times bigger than Earth. Pinkish blue clouds. You can see golden ocean luminous and gold sandy beach and golden pyramids with a quartz crown and a white huge dome, translucent, glistening in the sunlight, and beautiful nature woven around it, and walkways and other buildings sparsely placed. And out in the distance, this curved beach. And the water is actually glowing, fully charged, a foot above the ocean itself. And as you look down on this world and at this dome, you look out and realize there are 3 planets the size of Earth circling it at different distances, alive with life. None of these worlds have polar ice caps. Out in the distance from above, you can see this planet and its 3 moons are circling in the orbit, and it has 3 suns. Big, giant blue young star, 100 times bigger than it's yellow like our Earth sun, and a red dwarf out in the exterior, much older star. And you look inward towards the galactic core and you see a shaft, powerful shaft of white golden light roaring upward as far as you can see in space, disappearing, and roaring through the center downward. What people call a black hole isn't black at all, except to human eyes. I can't see it. And you are witnessing Turelian with his open book, sharing information and energy with the Galactic Council, but he's also sharing it with each one of us. Because little beams of golden white light are extending up into the white core of our beings, hovering above those bodies we have showing each other. It's going down into the body and out into the toroidal field that surrounds your physical form, and the same toroidal field surrounds the Atma hovering above it. And it's into those fields where this journey and the memory of it is stored. So you can look through it out in the universe at another time when you play it back and go on the journey again. In the next instant, you find that we are around Turelian, again in space by Earth. There's one other stop we need to make. As you look at the Earth with its polar ice caps, it's like a heat wave in the desert goes over your vision. And you're looking at Earth now, but it has no polar ice caps. And the moon is full of atmosphere and rain clouds and little rivers and little lakes, even small oceans, turning on its axis as it circles our planet. This is in the 3rd higher parallel dimension of the physical universe at a 3rd higher molecular time rate of matter. And the hue supports this level, the next one, which is accessed through Cornwall, England. It's a doorway there. You wouldn't see it unless you knew or you were invited, and up into the 3rd. And on that Earth with no polar ice caps, and there's the sun in the distance, you can see all the billions of stars clearly out there in our galaxy, is one big continent centered over the equator from the left to the right hemisphere. It goes up near the top about a 1/3 of the way below the North Pole and goes to the right hemisphere, then down towards the southern hemisphere, about a third of the way above the southern pole, and continues on to the western hemisphere, east to west. You can see through the Earth because you're an Atma, and you see a continent 2/3 its size, center of the equator, which is known as Atla or Atlantis. That big continent is Lemuria or Mu. In this Earth that exists in a higher frequency above where you are, this continent never sank. The poles never flipped. There's no impurities in the atmosphere, no negative thoughts or emotions. You can see down below, center of the equator, straight down above the southern pole, is a upward curving, half moon base shaped, glowing emerald beach, the edge of the continent. And you're mystified by it. You're drawn to it. And suddenly you find yourself with Turellian and all of us wiggling our toes in this emerald green sand, which is glowing a foot above the sand. You look behind you and see Turellian standing up to his knees in this blue-green glowing ocean water. And off in the distance beyond this curved jungle is a pathway, straight as an arrow, brown moss-covered pathway. And up to the right in the distance, a single snow-covered mountain. And to the left in the lower plateau, a huge dome, clear as crystal, covering a city. And up near 2/3 of the way up towards the summit of this mountain is a cavern opening with a roaring waterfall, blue-green water pouring out of it, dropping thousands of feet to disappear behind a blue-green forest that surrounds the backside of this dome. It goes on through, down the plateaus, and empties into this ocean. A mile or so down this pathway to the left is a statue of a woman standing on a white marble floor, circular, about 100 feet. 10 feet tall, it's made of quartz, polished, and you can see into it. This appearance of a woman carved in this quartz has a long flowing dress, silver-like hair, violet eyes, longer neck, longer fingers, longer torso, about 10 feet tall. And when you look into this gold headband with a faceted emerald stone centered, pointing downward, you can see a woman standing in a green field of energy. Now, this is the wife of the mate on Zintranomon 1, Zintranomos race. And this is a gift. It is a device. The green energy, if you look at the statue, has her hands up with her palms out, and the green light's coming from them, charging that beach. And this green light is to help all of us remember what we were made to forget about our lives in the multiverse before we came to Earth, with all or almost all memories shut down. Just showing herself to you. When you look at the dome, and we're hovering above it, to the left side of the snow-capped mountain, you see 3 golden-sided quartz-capped pyramids off to the back third, and an oval blue-green lake glowing, little ivory-colored domes and little pathways around the countryside. And in the back half of the dome, a miniature mountain range with little waterfalls coming down it for the aesthetic beauty and pleasure of the inhabitants. Turellian's people, including Turellian, the Say race, do come here. Master teachers from all over from the Galactic Alliance and from other dimensions come here. Opelum and Master Ramu and Etendin come here. I go here. This place has been developed and as a scientific research center has been developed as a prototype, but it's its own world of Earth and its own live moon. And when the time is right, this live moon will be copied and duplicated and downloaded over the moon we have so that it becomes a living world turning on its axis, circling the planet as it should be. That will come about during transformation period for planet Earth. Opelum is the head of this facility. He's from planet Oceania on the other side of the galaxy, but he's on a pathway heading off towards this 3 pyramids and some little minaret towers and some dome ivory structure at the base between the pyramids. And he's got his right hand up and he's greeting us. And off to the left are these trees like weeping willow trees with broad spoon-shaped leaves glowing, and these birds hovering and twittering in the trees about a foot long look like blue jays with long V-shaped split tails, rainbow-colored feathers, big blue eyes. They look kind of like a blue jay. They have twin sets of bird wings like a hummingbird or dragonfly, but twin. And they're singing the hue with male and female voices in perfect harmony, just to greet us. You find yourself out in space again around Turellian, looking at the Earth you're familiar with the polar ice caps. And you find yourself at 10,000 feet in the atmosphere, looking down on the place you live, right through the ceiling, looking at you hovering above near the ceiling, both places at once, simultaneous. And you see your body in the trance state we call sleep. What I recommend that you all do is endeavor to bring the memory of this journey back to that body you grew up with on Earth and enlighten it. You store this memory not in the brain, but in the electromagnetic field, the toroidal field that surrounds the being above the body and the same field around the physical body. And it's stored there. So that when you're walking through the day, you can just gently put your attention on this experience and see into the universe and see this stuff without the usual influence of secondary implants getting in the way, terrorizing you, frightening you. You will discover that on this journey, secondary implants were removed and you are capable now of reviewing this experience. There's a certain protection that goes along with working with the hue. You must discover for yourselves. That energy will pass down through you, imparting the memory, and then it moves past you, the hue, out into 3 pyramids stationed on Earth. 2 on the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans and 1 inside a hollow at an interior of a mountain in the Himalaya. Then it continues out in the atmosphere. It goes into a pyramid that has been stationed now between 2 stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of a planet where a world once was between Mars and Jupiter. It goes around the sun. And then it continues out into the universe, 2 pyramids that have been stationed or are continuing to be stationed between stars. It goes to that dome on Zitronami 1. It goes to the galactic core and right up the white shaft of light. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
Wow, long but very good journey.
I don't know what happened with the recording, but we should have it in 2 parts. But I will send whatever I have. This work that I do is not about criticizing world religions, although it may sound like that. That's not the point. It's not about criticizing governments, about stating the truth about the state of fear that motivates their decision making. That's what this is about. And that it's keeping people from Earth from having the wonder of being part of the multi-universe, being part of a galactic alliance of worlds, being able to be changed quite dramatically. Because when people on this earth really get into disclosure, have it done for them, then the opportunity exists for people to experience the technology, if you, for lack of a better word, the enlightened spirituality they have. They're not here to get rid of religions or threaten anybody. They're here to bring light and conscious experience into what people believe so they can expand and gain more ground. That's what it's about. So when we're done, I will put the website location, paralleltime.com, At the bottom of this video, and Perry can put this up on her YouTube channel, not mine. I have lots of videos of what this work is about on my YouTube channel, and few people ever find it. They're very well made. I will put a link to that as well, so you can watch them because they're free. They're not monetized. I did monetize some to try and experience, like 5 or 6, but I don't think it's worth doing because it's like trying to get other people's advertisements on your stuff to get more money. And I can understand that, but that's not the purpose of my work. I'm probably going to have to spend a great deal of funds to get those videos promoted to millions of people because you got to pay for it. You might want to go check those out for your benefit. Thank you, Perry, for having the courage to do this.
Thank you to you, and thank you everyone for watching. Please thumb up, subscribe, and share to benefit others as well. See you again next time.
And I'll just say to all of you, see you all later.
Later.